I sometimes reflect on it just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, and I'm like, I wonder if it was just the difference of me now being on your level or above you, because I was
Mm.
a lot of the friends that did leave, I was not
All
on their
right.
level.
Talk about it.
Yeah, and this expedited me to their level, if not
Mm-hmm.
more. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it was more of a like, who do you think you are?
Right.
I don't know. I would like to
Yeah.
assume that that's not the case, but I know that
Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
I know that that's a thing.
Some decisions look great on paper. Others make people blink twice and ask if you're okay. And it's usually the second type that changes everything. This is Unpopular Decisions, where we talk about what it really takes to choose authenticity over approval. I'm your host, Jameelah Calhoun. Today's conversation is all about the quiet decisions we make when we're not quite ready to defend them out loud. I'm joined by Jovonne Cameron, the creator behind Jovi Talks Tech on Instagram and TikTok, as well as her Stacks and Strategies newsletter, where she demystifies tech, calls out gatekeeping, and shows what's possible when you choose yourself, even before you're fully confident. This episode is for anyone navigating imposter syndrome, fear of discouragement, or generally feeling the pressure of what it takes to go down a path that isn't familiar or a path that feels safe. Let's get into it. Welcome in, Jovonne. I'm so excited to have you
Thank
on
you.
Unpopular Decisions. I feel like this is a full circle moment. We met at dinner like 3 months ago when this was just a glimmer in my eye. And now we're sitting across from each other on the couch.
Look at you. I'm so proud. I'm so happy. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, maybe before we jump in, you could tell us what your unpopular decision is.
Yes. Hi, my name is Jovonne, and my unpopular decision is that I transition into tech in secret.
Okay. Well, they say to move in silence, but you really did that.
Yeah,
So-
real bad. Came out a whole different person.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, it's interesting. I was just reading up about kind of people who go into tech, and again, for context, Jovonne is a software engineer and went through kind of coding boot camp to really learn those skills. 25,000 people graduate from coding boot camp every year, which is
it's crazy to hear, right?
Crazy. Yeah.
Like, we are out here. We are really out here.
I love that for y'all. I don't know that I could make it through any kind of coding boot camp. But you know, you mentioned of course that you did it in silence, in secret. What were you most afraid of? You know, who were you thinking about disappointing maybe when you decided that you had to do it undercover?
You know what? I don't think I was originally afraid to disappoint anyone. I just wasn't fully ready to defend a version of myself that I hadn't met yet. So I was already shaky. I wasn't 10 toes down on it. And I knew that sharing it would make it subject to all of the opinions and the questions. And I knew if somebody questioned me, that was it. I was gonna go to them people and get my money back. Like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to kind of protect it. I wasn't only protecting it from other people, I was also protecting it from myself because I was ready to pull the trigger and not do it.
Wow. Yeah. What like what kind of version of who you thought is the right type of person to do that? And like why didn't you feel like you were the type of person to really be able to step into tech?
Oh, that's so good. I think in my own head, I was thinking the version of myself that I was hoping for was someone that stuck to their word and did it messy, no matter how it looked, and followed through. And at that time in my life, I was so bogged down with other people's opinions. So if someone said I probably shouldn't do something, I probably would not go and do it. It actually happened to me
Mm.
as well. In high school, I did want to go for uh, computer science.
Mm.
And my guidance counselor was like, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you'll be successful.
Wow.
So I listened to her that first time.
Right.
So the second time around, I was like, I'm not talking about my business. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's crazy how the impact of, number one, like authority figures, people in your life can really have on you, but the impact of words. And
It's
they
heavy.
really carry power,
It's
and
heavy.
people just kind of throw it out there, not knowing how it could really change someone's trajectory. So I totally understand why, after having that first experience, you were like, I don't want to hear anything.
No, say nothing.
keep the blinders on, stay focused, so that, you know, you could really feel confident that you would make it all the way through. Yeah. Well, it's interesting, of course, that you made this particular decision. But as we continue to get to know you, I thought it would be fun to play a little game.
Okay. I love a little game. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So, as our listeners know, we always play a Would You Rather round. Very quick. We're going to keep not too spicy. Look. Not too spicy, you know, just a little way to continue getting to know you.
Okay,
and,
perfect.
And that's some of the other choices that you make and would make.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, I'm down.
Okay, we're ready. We're ready. So in terms of, you know, would you rather have perfect confidence, like truly just 10,000 level confidence, but your skills are actually mid? And we know some people who would fit this description, to be clear. Okay.
Yeah. Top of the resume.
Right. Okay. Or would you rather have elite skills, but your confidence is really like, you know, middling, and maybe you feel some of that imposter syndrome?
Oh, yeah. I think this one is easy because a lot of people get ahead with the mid skills and the higher confidence. So it would be nice to have elite skills. However, at the end of the day, it's who's being seen. Those are the people that are winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially in corporate, you know, you get rewarded for visibility more than you do performance. Yeah. So I think I would definitely be on the end of like, let my skills be mid, honey. Can you see me? Do you see me?
Exactly. Look, that's a revolutionary act. Like we're always taught to be twice as good, but to actually hold space and actually be like, I'm, you know, just okay. Right. That's actually privilege. Exactly. You know, that's the real, you know, privilege that anyone would want, really. Yeah. Okay, this is super techie. Honestly, I'm not even sure I know what exactly this means. Okay. Okay, let's do it. We'll see how this lands. Would you rather debug a tiny bug for 6 hours? Okay. Or teach 50 fourth graders for 2 hours? 50? Yeah. 50. I have to make it tough.
First of all, 50 and fourth graders is insane.
Yeah, right. Respect to our teachers out there.
Yes, definitely. Oh my goodness. This is another easy one because I would definitely spend 6 hours debugging. Being with the kids. Them kids gonna wear you out.
They absolutely will.
They will wear you out. And being a teacher is really a thankless job. Which is one of the reasons why it wasn't going to work for me. But I have easily spent time debugging for 6 hours and not even thought about it. The time blindness is a little real, but either way, 6 hours debugging, hands down.
Wow. Okay. So you got that focus. Yeah. Maybe 50 was a little aggressive. A little aggressive. But shout out to our teachers out there.
Right.
Okay. Would you rather be a mega influencer on TikTok?
Okay.
Or founder / CEO of a VC-backed AI startup without a business model yet? Again, we know some of those. Okay.
We do know some of those. We do.
We do.
Wow. I think it's always nice to be a mega influencer, but that comes with a cost. Okay, so the other option, it was VC backed.
Yeah.
Already? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
VC, I want to be VC backed.
Okay.
With no plan. Because now I know I got the platform. I just need the plan. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And you could easily be an influencer and just, broke.
Right. True. And then everyone's
still
in your business all the time too.
Right. Exactly. So VC backed. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, of course, as was shared in the intro for everyone, an important context to this is the woman behind Jovi Talks Tech. Okay. So an amazing platform that is really demystifying tech for people of color, in particular. So check her out on TikTok, y'all. Thank you. But one of the reasons why it's so important to demystify, tech for people of color is we do experience more of that imposter syndrome. Absolutely. There was a study that showed 53% of software engineers in general feel imposter syndrome. Like, I think it's, y'all are super smart and really into your numbers and stuff. So there's that kind of element of perfectionism across all software engineers. But then when you add on top of that people of color and women, imposter syndrome goes up like well above 65%. So, when you thought about this transition, how much of that was in your own head? Like the imposter syndrome and the feeling of being a Black woman stepping into that space?
I would be honest. I don't think I recognized it much when I was making the decision. The decision was more about, could I get through boot camp and get a job? That was one of the biggest things for me. So for failure for me was not getting a job or not making it through the boot camp. Now, what was going to happen in the corporate world? All right. That was a separate hazing season, but I didn't, that wasn't something that really crossed my mind when I was making the initial decision to do the transition. Yeah. I think if I knew what it would have been, I think I would have probably still went for it, but I would have been a little bit more cautious about the companies that I chose to join. So upon graduating boot camp, I was not cautious about the companies. I was not cautious. So corporate had me by the edges, but needless to say, that wasn't something that I was willing to say like, oh, don't do it because of that. Yeah. That's
actually great. I mean, I think, especially when it comes to pursuing something educational, there is that other side of, am I going to land a job? Am I going to really find the next step that this is supposed to be a stepping stone to? So it's great that you were able to compartmentalize that a little bit, because sometimes thinking too far ahead is what stops us from keeping on going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier that there were some moments that you were like, I might not make it through, or I might not finish this.
Yeah.
What were some of those moments where you were kind of like, I may not, complete this journey in terms of the coding bootcamp?
Oh, yeah. So just to give you context, the coding boot camp itself was pretty rigorous. I was coding anywhere between 60 and 90 hours a week. So it was a full-time job technically. So, and that didn't even include like side projects. That was us just learning and trying to build the craft and stuff. And doing that alone and not having support because you didn't tell anyone, that was a bit much. That was a bit much. So there were some times where I probably wasn't getting the content as quickly, or I felt a little bit behind, or, because if you miss one day, it feels like you missed a week at work. Missing one day, because it's accelerated. It's an accelerated program. Felt like missing a week at work. So you come back and you're kind of, you're in a daze a little bit. So I think that was one of the huge issues for me, not having that support. I did have support from like, some immediate people like my parents and stuff like that, but they weren't gonna completely understand. It would just be like, all right, honey. You got it. You're doing great, sweetie.
Look, we love our parents.
Right,
They
right.
ride for us. So,
Yeah. So I think that was one of the major issues for me, making the decision and not realizing, like, hey, if you don't tell anyone, you're not going to have that support, and having to ride through those hard times kind of a little bit by myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting that your parents were part of your support
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
You know, myself being Haitian American, I know you've also had Caribbean descent as well.
Of
We love
course.
it. But how did your identities play a role and shape how you thought about taking this step and how you thought about the risk? Because I think a lot of times when it comes to, you know, our culture is it's like be a doctor, be a lawyer, like keep a steady job, like keep two jobs, you know, like, just to make sure things are good. So yeah, how did your identities or maybe your parents even think about this leap that you were taking?
I'll be honest. My parents were super supportive. Very.
That's wonderful.
My father was always the type of person that didn't judge if I changed lanes or switched things. He gave me permission before anyone else. So
Love
if I
that.
picked up a paintbrush as a child and 2 weeks later I picked up a baseball, he signed me up for lessons. He didn't care that I put down the paintbrush from 2 weeks ago. He was just like, okay, let's pour into it. Let's do what we have to do. And he bought me a desk and a whole computer setup. So he was extremely supportive. My mom also too. But I think where the culture part comes in, you know, my mom is very private. It's very hush hush, don't tell anyone until it's done. You announce it when it's finished. And I think that's kind of the that's the MO with a lot of us. You know, you just pop out when it's done. And I think that also played a huge role because I think for her goal was if you fail privately. It's not something that is televised, so to speak. And I appreciated that outlook to an extent. But again, it blocked community. It also did a little bit of a number on my mental health because I subconsciously was telling myself, like, you may not get through this, so don't tell anyone. It wasn't I'm going to get through this and I'll tell everyone when I'm done. If that was the case, that outlook would have been fine. But my outlook was more of like, hey, you might not get through this. You know, you already don't believe in yourself, so don't give somebody else ammo to not believe in you.
Wow.
And I work on forgiving myself for that every day because I'm just like, oof, man, I really wish I would have given myself the permission to take up space. And I didn't during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who was it kind of hidden from?
Yeah.
You know, your parents were very supportive. But clearly there was an external gaze that you were very conscious of. And like you said, trying to, you know, wishing that you'd given yourself permission around. But help for our listeners to understand what was that external gaze really comprised of? Were there specific people you had in mind or just a projection?
I think it was projection. A lot of it was projection. And again, I tried to explain that to a lot of people when I did finish and say, hey, I'm a software engineer now. I think I made up a lot of assumptions thinking that no, I wouldn't hurt anyone's feelings because it was more about me than anyone else. I didn't think my decision would affect other people. And I think a lot of it was like just some friends that might have questioned and been like, okay, so why tech? You know, coming from a special education background, and I'm sure we'll dive into it more later, but I felt like being in special education was more of a zone of excellence for me, but it wasn't a zone of genius. And so that is where what kind of like ticked me off to be like, okay, we kind of have to leave. We have to pivot into something completely different. And so when I was making the decision, there were a couple of friends that I thought about, There were some friends that I knew immediately would ask certain
Mm.
questions. But there was one friend that I told her, and her name is Naja. Shout out to Naja. I told Naja I was going to do it, and I needed a plan to kind of pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's originally what I tapped on her for. And I remember after telling her, she's like, "Okay, we're gonna do this, 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 this," and I'm like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." And she calls me a couple of days later. Thank God she followed up. She calls me a couple of days later. "So when are you starting your boot camp?" And I'm like, "Actually, girl, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I don't think I'm gonna do it." And she was the right person to tell that, because she wasn't having it.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. She was like, "Okay, so walk me through why. Why are we not doing this?" And I'm like, "Well, I think I'm gonna push it. Maybe do it later." And she's like, "Okay, so where could we be at a year from now
Right.
if we decide to go with it now? Like, why would we stop now? I don't understand. If you could give me hardcore logic, if you could give me hardcore logic as to why you do not want to move forward with this, okay, cool. I'll still question you, but okay, cool." So when she fought back on it with me, I signed up for it, and I was in class by the next week.
Wow.
So
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
It's something I always tell myself when I'm hesitating. It's like the time will pass regardless.
Yeah.
Like
Truly.
December 31st, 2026 will arrive.
Listen.
Whether you change your life or not. Like it will arrive.
It's scheduled.
It's scheduled. So, who do you want to be when that day comes? Who do you want to wake up as?
Yes,
When that day comes. So sometimes you're so thinking about that journey and taking that first step, but it's the time's gonna go by regardless. And I love that you have a friend who doesn't play about you.
Yeah, she doesn't. She would yoke me up.
And really,
everyone should have a friend. Everyone should have a Naja.
Yeah. To encourage you. But you alluded to this idea of zone of excellence versus zone of genius. Like, tell me about that framework, like for folks who aren't familiar with that type of thinking, but also what meaning did you derive from that informed, like, I got to make a pivot?
Yeah. So I would define the zone of excellence as something that you are particularly good at. Maybe you've built the skill, or it kind of comes a little bit naturally to you a little bit. Maybe you've spent some years growing in that space or field, and you're good at it, but it doesn't fulfill you. It still leaves you empty. It still leaves you like, wanting Friday. So
oof, I like that.
Yeah,
that's
like
a clear phrase, wanting Friday.
So, but you're good at it. It's not. It doesn't take much for you to do. It doesn't take much energy, but that is a zone of excellence for you. Now, a zone of genius. Now, I look at that as something that you may have had to cultivate a little bit, have a little blood, sweat, and tears to build, but it is something that no matter how hard it gets, you can do it all day long. You can do it all day long, maybe take a little bit of a nap and then go back to it. It's something that keeps you up at night at 2 a.m. scrolling, trying to figure out what is it that you want to do. And I fear that my last job as a teacher, that wasn't my zone of genius for me personally. It was my zone of excellence. I did pretty well with that. I've been working both inside the school and outside the school, privately with families. I mean, some of those kids I would consider my own. So it wasn't the kids, it wasn't the people I was working with. It was just literally like, oh, I'm taking up space.
Yeah.
And this is not where I want to be. Right. So that was my zone of excellence. My zone of genius is what I'm doing now within the tech field, and just encouraging others to kind of come into the space, because it's absolutely needed.
Right.
And even though it's not a linear journey or an easy journey, it's something that I'm always willing to find my way back to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
I love the way you just framed that. And for many of us, we don't even know what our zone of genius is.
Yeah.
It's something we have to discover and tap into our self-awareness to even come across. But one of the things that's interesting is moving from a space that even from how you described it, is very
Mhm.
mission driven,
Yeah.
very connected with, service
Yeah.
and helping people
Mhm.
into, a different space that people maybe don't see as mission driven.
Yeah.
Like, was that a part of your thinking about whether or not you should do this? And
Mhm.
um yeah, in terms of not continuing down a kind of a more service um
Yeah. I
field.
think so. This kind of became my zone of genius. I
Mm,
didn't go into it thinking it was my zone of genius. I think
interesting.
I wouldn't have questioned myself as much if I thought it was my zone of genius. Um, I think at the time of the transition, what I was really looking for was something that I had the ability to fall in love with
Mm,
and still be taken care of. So, for example, in my zone of excellence when I was teaching, it's like, oh, I like the work. It's not bad, but I wasn't taken care of.
mm-hmm.
So it kind of felt like constantly pouring from an empty cup and
Mm,
wanting Friday.
yeah.
So once I got to that point, I'm like, oh no, we
I
gotta
got
figure
you.
something out. The long term, it wasn't a great plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great plan for me personally. And I love the teachers. Like I think you guys are doing great. You're doing great, sweetie. But it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And so when I was getting into tech, the main goal for me was to be able to self-sustain, be able
Mm-hmm.
to discover a little bit more. It was such a wide like playing field.
Yeah.
So being an engineer didn't just mean you could be one type of engineer. You could be any
Mm-hmm.
type of engineer you wanted to be. It just felt a lot more flexible than teaching. And so that was something that I really wanted. I wanted the flexibility. I wanted to reclaim my time.
Yeah.
Because I had already graduated college and I'm like, I can't go back for a degree. I can't do that. No. And I wanted to be able to make the transition in a way that kind of like made sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I paid about 20K for the boot
Mm-hmm.
camp, and it was about 3 months of my time.
Yeah.
So I was able to do the whole thing within 6 months. So 3 months at the boot camp, 3 months at the looking for work.
Okay. Yeah.
And then even though it cost me 20K, I had quadrupled my original salary.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like, okay, let's find our place now.
Right.
Now that we're here, let's get comfortable and find our place. So sometimes finding that zone of genius is going to take that kind of experimentation.
Mm.
And I'm glad that I was able to at least push through and get to that point, but it will take some experimentation.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many elements of that. Like, because people want to feel sometime when they're taking that leap that it's like they know it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
They know they've wanted to do this their whole life. Or like they have this flash of lightning that hits them that tells them this is the way. The sign.
Yep.
We're always looking for that.
Yeah.
But you're kind of really highlighting the fact that there is this process of experimentation, of growing into the zone of genius versus it just arriving for you on a a flash.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. They feel like they need to see the whole plan. And I was one of those people as well. I need to see how it's going to play out from point A to Z. And that was not the case. That was not the case. I probably saw till point C.
Okay.
And I had to trust. This is where trusting yourself really comes into play, because if I didn't trust myself enough to say, all right, once you make the decision, all systems go, like that's it, we have to figure it out. And I think getting comfortable with yourself enough to make that decision and move forward, no matter what it looks like ahead, you'll be fine.
So one element that's definitely top of mind for people is some of these transitions require money, right? Just talked about paying for boot camp. And even sometimes if you're not paying for schooling, you're thinking about maybe missing earnings from your old job if you have to take time off or something like that. So, I think the way through often requires going through your bank account.
Of course.
So I'd love to touch on that. Like, how did you, prepare yourself
Yeah.
financially to make that leap, or kind of some of the steps of your plan, especially with your friend who
Yeah.
laid it out for you,
She did.
that really helped support a path that felt sustainable for you?
Yeah. So I'll take it back a bit because that was in roughly in 2021 when I did the boot camp. And so we had what we had in 2020.
Yeah.
2020 happened. And I think like everyone else, we thought we were just gonna be off for 2 weeks, go back to the school, XYZ. I think within a month we had gotten the call that, hey, we're not going back until the following year.
Wow.
And so probably within 10 minutes of that phone call, it had to be a phone call. I don't think it was an email. Probably within 10 minutes of that phone call, I made the decision. I said, oh, I'm not going back. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going back.
Wow. So in some way, that was that sign.
Yeah. I had no idea what I was going to do.
What it was going to be.
I didn't think, I wasn't thinking about software engineering at the time. I just knew in my head, okay, this happened in March. We're talking in April. And I don't have to go back to the school till September. Right. I'm not going back to the school. So we have to make something work from now to then. And I think I was looking for ways to kind of figure out what did I want to do.
Yeah.
And I started to play around with coding, and I was like, oh, let's try it. I think everybody had like extra time on their hands. I was like, oh, let's just try.
And you had that interest.
Yeah. So it grew.
High school. Yeah.
Yes. I had that interest, but I kind of like put it to bed, and now I woke it back up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, let me keep trying. And I came across a YouTube video one night seeing a woman, her name is Bacola. I think Bacola ushered a lot of Black women into tech.
Ooh, she might not shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Bacola. Yeah, because she had come out with a video on YouTube. She used to be a lawyer.
Wow.
Yeah, went to law school and everything. Went to law school and everything, and she decided to pivot into tech, and she did a boot camp. So I think several other people saw that, and we were all like, wait, Black girl engineers? Stop it. And so,
let me find out.
We can do this. And once I saw her video, I was like, oh yeah, like let's try this. Let's do this. And then I started to look for a boot camp. So to answer your question, I had to look for programs where I could apply scholarships in any way, shape, or form. I could also maybe do one of those payback plans, which is essentially what I ended up doing. So I didn't have to pay anything up front, and you only pay once you get a job.
Got it. Okay.
So that helped a lot. I think if I were to try to do it any other way, I probably would have been more stressed. So that doing it that way, paying it at the end, only if you got a job,
right,
made it a lot more safe financially, and allowed you to focus a little bit more on the material. Because if you're like, you're not going to learn properly if you're like, dang, $20,000 is right. Yeah, so I ended up getting a scholarship at the end of the boot camp.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay.
And then it like knocked it down to $12,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love being transparent about finances, because I need people to understand, like, this is how much it is. It's not that. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's a lot of money, yes, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, and that transparency is so important. Yeah, because again, the uncertainty about literally where the money's coming from. It's a huge barrier for people to take these leaps, to make these brave decisions. So really appreciate you kind of, laying that out there. We started this story about you holding this in a bit, and it sounded from what you mentioned earlier that either around graduation or after you got your job was really the reveal. So can you talk about that moment of revealing that you had really made this big leap to your community, your friends, after you reached that milestone?
Yeah, that was where things started to get very rocky.
Okay.
Yeah. Relationship wise and friendship wise. I ended up losing a couple of friends.
Okay.
Ended up losing a couple of friends. Had some friends question me. But I will say I'm proud that a lot more people celebrated me than they questioned me. So
Good.
Fortunately, we lost a couple, but
Yeah.
but that is something I don't think I would change it. I think I might have altered how I went about it, but I wouldn't change it because I was giving at the time I thought I was protecting myself, and I can't alter what that means for someone else, even if it makes them feel offended or wonder if our friendship is as strong as we say it is. I was just tired of being the friend that kept bringing back bad news.
Yeah.
Or I'm constantly trying, or like, being the almost friend is what I call it. Almost made it, almost got through, almost got the job, almost like I just wanted to be able to say, like, guys, I did it.
Wow.
Look what I did. Here's my shiny new toy.
Yeah.
And, it didn't go as expected with a lot of people, but, for other people, it went perfectly.
Yeah.
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 Was for the ones who drifted away, was it primarily the fact that they were kind of upset that you didn't trust them with this information in this process, or something else? Were they kind of not really supportive of the change that you made itself, like of going into tech? Like, what was kind of behind some of those shifts in the relationship?
Yeah, I think so. It could be a two-way door a little bit, right? Because on one hand, I was missing a lot of the boot camp. Remember, I told you I was coding for 90 hours a week, right. So I wasn't as social at all. My social life took a huge hit. But I think a lot of it was people feeling offended that I wasn't able to share that intimate detail, something that's so big and requires so much energy. And I understand where they were coming from at that time, but I made sure that when I did reveal it, I'm like, hey, the only reason why I didn't say anything was because of me. Like, I was afraid of questions. And if you questioned me on anything, I probably wouldn't have done it because I was so unsure about it.
Yeah.
And for some people that didn't really matter, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that I think that was a lot of it behind it. And plus I lied. I told people I was going back to school for English because I had to account for the time. I was like, oh, well, if I'm missing,
right,
what am I really doing with my time? So I told them, like, yeah, I'm going back to school for English. And you know what? They didn't question that. Not even a little bit. Oh, okay, girl. That was fine. Yeah, they didn't question it at all. So for some, I feel like it was it might have been the lie. And for others, it was like, why would you feel like you can't tell me?
Right.
Yeah. So that was the case.
Yeah.
But I of course, wish them well. And I sometimes reflect on it just a little bit. And I'm like, I wonder if it was just the difference of me now being on your level or above you. Because I was, a lot of the friends that did leave, I was not on their level.
Talk about it.
Yeah, and this expedited me to their level, if not more. So I don't know if it was more of a like, who do you think you are?
Right.
I don't know. I would like to assume that that's not the case, but I know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
I know that that's a thing.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. I mean, part of the transition to tech, as you mentioned, you kind of tripled your quadruple. Oh, okay. Your salary and that really does change the way you move through the world. What was that transition like? Because I think people often don't appreciate, like, yes, you're so excited to have new money coming in, but it's also a new way of showing up in the world. It's a new identity. Yeah. It's figuring out how you want to use those resources. Right. So what was that part of the transition for you?
That was definitely, I don't want to say turbulent. Turbulent is not the word that I'm looking for, but I want to be as real as I can. I was afraid of the amount of money that I was. I was afraid. I did not know. I've never received that kind of money. And all I could think of, so I know you can tell there's a little bit of a pattern in my thinking, but this was at that time. Now I'm not there anymore. I try to help people out of that.
Growth.
Right. So immediately I call up a friend who's like a financial advisor. I'm like, hey, I don't want to lose this money. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I had no idea what to do with any of my money.
Right.
And kind of really, I think I was doing too much in terms of like fear-based spending. So I did a little bit of fear-based spending. I didn't even treat myself for a lot of different things. I remember I would even hide money from myself. I got to a point where I was hiding money from myself because I was just like, oh God.
Right.
Ooh, is the money gonna stay? So it was just like, I wish I can say that I was confident enough to deal with the money and do all the things properly with it, but that wasn't my story at the time. It's my story now. I know what to do.
We love that.
But at that point, I was like, oh my God, I never made this kind of money. Like, what do I do? Do I go on a plane? Can I buy that? Or
right.
Right. So I think one of the first purchases I made, I used to work at Coach as well. And I went in Coach and bought every bag I ever wanted. Because when I was working there, I couldn't afford a bag. Working there, I could not afford a bag. And I just went in there. I was like, oh yeah, can I get all of these? Like, I want this one, this one, this one. I left with like 3 or 4 bags and was just like, wow, that felt.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
I feel like you need those moments of a visual representation of, the transformation you've been through.
Yeah.
Like a really tangible example of that full circle moment. So I love the fact that you work there and that's exactly what you went back to.
I went back to it.
So it's like a little bit of Pretty Woman moment. Yeah. Make mistake.
No, for real. For real.
I love that. Well, I mean, of course, the money is a wonderful resource to be able to get, but a lot of people do kind of want to or think about making the leap into tech for the money, right? Just for the money. What do you think is kind of over romanticized about transitioning into tech that you think is important for people to understand, if that's kind of something that they're maybe toying with or considering?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think what's over romanticized is the work-life balance just a little bit. Because we have this thing where it's like, oh, you have this cushy job, you work from home, you're remote, and you only work this many hours a week. That comes with time. And it varies by the company.
I was going to say, I don't know those people. Like, who's chilling in tech? Because let me find out where you work. Sign me up immediately.
Call me.
Where? You're trying to find that. But I think especially because early on with tech, there was that image of people playing ping pong in the office, or
not really working, but making all this money
everywhere, and all of that. But no.
I think that's over romanticized because it's just that comes with time, and it depends on what you do in tech. Again, the company and how long you've been there. It can happen. I mean, my first role was remote, but I was working. I was working. Like, I worked for the money that I had. So I think that that's something to really take heed about and think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you kind of alluded to this earlier as well, where you were talking about like you didn't think as much about like once you got into tech and into corporate, what that would really look and feel like. And there have been a lot of conversations recently about AI, about shifts in the workforce. The last few years have been, pretty turbulent in tech. Black women's presence in tech feels like it's, really reducing, particularly in this environment. So, I guess when you actually got into corporate, what surprised you about that experience, and how are you thinking about tech and your path now?
Ooh, compared to when I first
Yeah, when you
broke
first
in.
graduated, and then it's like
Yeah.
all this stuff happens. You actually get into the job, you see
Yeah.
what the environment's like.
Hmm.
What were some of those kind of learnings or?
Yeah. First breaking in was very interesting because I was very green.
Mm-hmm.
I was not only green as an engineer, but in the corporate world. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had a corporate job. So I'm already in a I'm in an unwelcomed environment, like an unwelcoming environment, because they
Mm-hmm.
already don't expect you to be there.
Mm.
Um, they're already shocked, and some people make their assumptions about how you got there.
Mm.
I think that was something that kind of threw me off. I do feel like there were some very open and friendly people, but boy, those unfriendly people
Mm.
kind of made up for lost times.
Okay.
So the things that you normally would deal with in corporate, I personally believe is magnified in tech.
Mm.
Especially the more technical you go.
Yeah.
You get questioned a lot more. You're not looked at as somebody who's serious in the field
Mm.
as much as some of your counterparts. They don't have to do as much work. They don't have to look like you, dress like you, show up like you in any way, shape, or form.
Wow.
And they get a lot more leeway sometimes. There's a lot of microaggressions as well, and you are truly in charge of your own career and your own journey.
Yeah.
And that was something that I felt was it's fair to be in charge of your own career. What some of the things I dealt with in corporate, I felt wasn't fair but they weren't. Nobody was seeing it, so I'm like, oh wow, does everybody know this is a thing? And then after consulting with other people and figuring out, like, yes, it's always been a thing. There's already not enough of us in the room.
Right.
And to your point with the progression of AI, which is kind of why I stand for what I stand for now, the less Black people there are in the room making decisions, the more these products and this software that comes out is not going to cater to us in any way, shape, or form. And it's like another digital divide. It's another form and another way of leaving Black people behind because we're not in those rooms and because we're not speaking up. Now, are there going to be times where you're in the room and speaking up and they won't listen? Absolutely. But the point is to be in the room, to know when these decisions are being made, about AI, about algorithms in general.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've been making my whole stance about ever since breaking in, even when I was green. I'm like, everybody come, please.
Yeah.
You want me to pick you up? I'll pick you up. Come, just come.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more important, I think, even now more than it was back then.
Wow.
To have more Black people in tech. And I don't find it surprising that Black women were laid off at disproportionate levels last year, compared to what's going on, what was happening before, excuse me. So I'm just like, oh, with all of this different AI and stuff coming out, I won't get too technical, but with all of this different AI and stuff coming out, it's very interesting that a lot of Black women are now out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is one of those interesting elements of, especially when there is this new technology.
Yeah.
I think there's also the reentrenchment of who's on the front lines of
Yeah.
that, and then they're bringing, their network with them. And so,
Yeah.
as these new companies are forming, you're kind of seeing the same pattern again that happened when Google was forming, when Facebook was forming. It's like, who else did you know from your class, in college, or whatnot, to help you co-found these companies?
Yeah.
So, I think what you're talking about and what you're doing with your platform is even more important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to make some room. Make some room. And I also want to make space for the people who used to think like me. Like, oh, we don't belong here, or maybe I'm not cut out for this. I'm like, do not count yourself out before they do. Like,
right.
Yeah, that's not your job. Your job is to try your best and come here and make a difference. So
yeah, I love that. Well, actually, I was literally thinking, like, is there something you would want to say to somebody who's feeling like it's too late? which is also comes
Yeah.
in people's mind,
Yeah.
or that, you know, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Mhm.
What would you say to someone who's kind of has those doubts in their mind?
It depends on how they normally think. I know
Mm.
that I'm personally a logical person.
Mm-hmm.
So when I sat down and put pen to paper and wrote out the statistics of the amount of Black people who are affected by us not being in the room, or
Mm.
how much Black people are in the workforce in general, the numbers started to make sense. I'm like, oh, I need to be here.
Mm.
You have to figure out if you want it to be bigger than you, so to speak.
Right.
And so of course it's not easy. It's not an easy journey, but for those specifically who feel like it's too late, it's never too late.
Mm-hmm.
I had people in my boot camp. I think the oldest person was like 50. Yeah.
Amazing.
The power really stays with the people who decide to pivot and they give themselves the permission to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're the only one that needs to give yourself permission to do that. Nobody else can stop you. Nobody.
Right.
There
Right.
might be things and boundaries in the way, but at the end of the day, you have the last say. Like, you can be the person that gives yourself that permission. So it's never too late. As far as if you believe you can do it or not, you need to trust yourself. You can probably sit down again, pen and paper, and think of all of the times where you had no choice but to trust yourself. And you've made it through that hardest moment already. So why not do it again?
I love that as an actual like activity.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Like a
right
reflection. Because sometimes you just need to see it in order for it to be a thing for you and for it to make sense. Because a lot of people spend time in their own head thinking, oh, this is not going to work. And they ruminate and they overthink in the wrong direction. You might as well overthink in the right direction.
Right.
What if it does work? What if I do get the 6 figures and it changes my family's lifestyle and it does all these different things? Like, what if I do go for it and my family supports me?
Yeah.
So I think it would really help to do an exercise like that. Think about all of the hard times you've already made it through. And this one should just be another one that you're like, okay, cool, I could do this.
Yeah.
I've done that. I could do this.
Yeah. Evidence-based, and the evidence coming from your own life and your own experience.
Right, exactly.
The fact that you know yourself and that you've already made it through so much.
Yeah.
So I love that as an activity.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap here, so much of what we do with Unpopular Decisions is really helping people feel that confidence to be bold and go forward. So what would you say to the haters or the people who maybe judge people's career choices? Yeah.
What would I say to the haters? I would probably say, oh, that's a good one. I'm trying to think because I really don't be thinking about that. That's the The gag is you weren't a thought. That's the gag.
Okay. See, I actually love that. That's the one. I don't think about y'all. That's what I would say.
Enough for me to be like, yeah, you guys do X, Y, Z. No. If I could sit here and say things like I remember everything that a hater said, I've spent too much time on it. I've spent way too much time on it. Like, oh, girl, no, move on.
Yes,
let's figure out a way to get this money.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. This was so fun.
Jovonne left us with such an important message. The haters, the naysayers, they're not even worth your time. If something stayed with you from this episode, that's not an accident. It means you're probably getting ready to start writing your own script. Please make sure to subscribe to Unpopular Decisions wherever you listen to your podcasts, or leave us a review if this episode really meant something to you. We're on a mission to inspire 1 million brave life choices. So share this episode with someone who might get something out of it too. Thank you for listening, and I'm glad you're here.